Alright, so I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded a video on the progress of the bus, but I had a couple little things happen to it. I've been driving it every day to make sure it's roadworthy before we start taking it out and using it. Glow plugs went out, had to replace those, and then about a week later the water pump went out, so I had to replace that. My wife made some curtains for the windows, came out pretty good. I like the pattern. We were at got them at one of them fabric stores, I don't remember which one. But today I'm going to start converting the little swing out door. I'm gonna turn it into a regular door. I didn't really feel like making one from scratch, so I'm just gonna get some wood and kind of make ours look like a wooden door. So follow along, we'll see how it turns out. So I got my carriage bolts. I love using carriage bolts, they're nice. You don't have to worry about fastening on one side, especially when dealing with wood. Lockable door handle, and I got some 1x8s. So what I'm gonna do is right here, get a piece to go across here, and I'm gonna make some T's, long ones that go up. I'm gonna get some over here, get some little tiny ones to go on the edges to kind of fill it in, to make it look like a regular wood frame door. I got 1x8s because it's gonna overhang a little bit. It's gonna kind of hide the edges of the glass a little bit better, because I think it will. We'll see how it turns out. Alright, so this side, the hinges on both sides, on the bottom and the top, are in good shape still, so I'm going to use those. So this is going to be the pivot side. What I went ahead and did was I opened the door. Let me show you. I opened the door to where it closes, because I know 1x8 is going to be too big to actually go in the gap here. So I went ahead and marked along the line, so that's where the edge of the 1x8 is going to go. So now what I'm going to do, got 27 3/4, so I'm gonna cut two, one to go on the outside and one to go on the inside. Alright, so I marked out the center of it. It's gonna have about 3/4 inch overhang on either side over the glass. So what I'll do here is I'll probably drill a couple holes on each one, trying to just see how it fits up there and see if that positioning is where I like it. So I'm just gonna go to the center of the board. Should be the center of each door. I'll probably put two on each side for now, just to see how sturdy that makes it, and go from there. Alright, so in this part of the video, I started drilling out the holes in the door where the board's gonna mount. I didn't have any pens or pencils with me that were long enough to go through the board and mark on the door where I could make it visible enough to actually drill through it. So I went ahead and mounted one, and then I went and tightened it up on the inside of the bus, and I took the drill bit and kind of like just gave it a little squeeze of the trigger to mark the spots on the door, and then I moved the board out of the way so I could finish drilling through, which you'll see here in a little bit. It worked out pretty well for me. There is way better ways to do this, but like I said, I didn't have any markers or pens big enough to go through the hole, so this is what I did, and it worked out fine. So in this part of the video, I'm cutting through the top pivot point on the left side door. I used my multi-tool with a metal cutting bit on it to try and speed the process up, but it is a solid piece of round tubing, not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be like a round tube with a nut welded to the inside and it to be hollow, but it is not. So give yourself some time to cut this out because it is going to take you a while, and take a couple breaks in between because your bit will start to get hot and it won't cut as well. Alright, so whenever you go to do this, remember that that's there and that's there, because I've been fighting with it for about 15-20 minutes trying to open it, and I totally forgot to take those off. So just keep that in mind so you're not wasting time like I did on something that can be avoidable. So this one is fun to get to because it actually spins up here on this top part. Let's see if we can get it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but right where my finger is, there's like a little, it spins right there. So I get something to hold that in place, and I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna get this off yet. So it bolts in back here, right in here. You see that? But then I gotta figure out how to get it unattached from the door. So that's gonna be fun. Alright, so if your bus is like ours, which it will probably be really similar to, up top you got, let me see where it's at. Oh, alright. So you got this little heim joint, and it's got an Allen head on the top of it, a little lock nut on the bottom. Just like that. Honestly, the easiest way I was able to get it to do it was get a pair of locking pliers on the bottom of this and twisted it till it pried itself up against the body on its own, right against here. And then I went ahead and used the Allen key to break it loose because there's no room up there to get to it with a wrench and socket. So if you find out a better way, let me know. Alright, so this next part of the project was where I was trying to mount both doors together. It'd be a lot easier if you have two people helping you, but at the time my wife was doing something, so I was kind of left to fend for myself here. I eventually got it. Took a little bit more work than I was thinking because these doors are a lot heavier than I expected them to be, but it only makes sense that the glass and what they make them out of is heavy because they're supposed to protect kids, so I should have expected that. But I eventually got it, and it lined up pretty well. Alright, so for this part, there's kind of no real way to do it. You can't buy a doorknob cutter set for a bus door, so I'm kind of winging it here. I don't know how well it's gonna work out or not, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna mark here first. Here, and about here is where that goes in. Should be wide enough. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drill a hole straight through it and see how this works out. I think I got a drill bit big enough, but I'm gonna start with a pilot hole first, so that way it doesn't walk all over me. Alright, so I ran out of the daylight the other day before I could finish it, so today I'm gonna finish it. Drilling this hole out to put the door lock in can be quite troublesome. I gotta go back and clean it up a little bit, But what I did was I took my biggest drill bit I had and started it out. And then I went ahead and took a Dremel and I used it's a really like a carbide bit, and just went around until the hole got bigger, 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 bigger. But it worked out all right. I'm gonna replace this board because it cracked when I was drilling out the hole for the handle. But I'm gonna get the rest of it finished up first to make sure everything functions before I go and start changing pieces. And I already have it in place, so I'll be able to get good cuts and everything will stay squared up instead of trying to replace it now. So let's finish this door up. All right, here I'm just marking out where I want the board to be at, like I did on all of the other ones that I cut. Just trying to center it up to where it clears the bottom step, because if you try and go straight into the center of this bottom piece of metal, it'll go right into the step. So you kind of got to raise the bolts up a little bit so they won't go into the step, and rather a little bit above it. There's way more accurate ways to get the bolts to line up with the boards and cutting and drilling through this than what I'm doing, but I'm confident in myself enough to where I feel like they'll be close enough and not affect the stability or anything of it. So I just went ahead and marked it through the wood to drill them out. So my eyeballing it got a lot closer than I expected to. I was expecting to have to like make a couple of the holes a little bit bigger so they'd line up, but these ones went straight through the door and the wood, so I didn't really have to do anything else other than bolt it together and shut the door. Alright, so it's all lined up. Functions pretty good now. I gotta trim those bolts up because they are hitting right here. But I don't want to get too short of ones and then not go all the way through, so I'll just cut that off when I'm done and it's all mounted and stuff. But today we're gonna finish up. I'm gonna cut the pieces for here and down at the bottom. Still haven't decided what I'm gonna do with this yet. That's because it's so thin right there. I don't know. We'll see how it looks like this first, and then I'll think about what I'm doing for that. Or if someone's got some ideas, that'd be cool. I went ahead and drilled holes through that, and I marked it like I did the rest of them. So, drill them out, mount it, see if it still functions like it's supposed to. So I did close to the same process on the center beams that attach the two doors going upright. Just I changed it a little bit because the actual metal is a lot thinner between this part versus the big cross supports going across the bottom, middle, and top of the door. So you got to be a little bit more precise when drilling these out, because if you go too far, you'll go through the rubber insulation on the one side, and if you go too far to the other side, you'll end up going into glass and breaking it. So just keep that in mind if you do the same thing I did, and keep your measurements as close to the center as the little aluminum support beam in the middle of the doors. Alright, well, it's about as much as I could do because I can't think of what to do on this side. Someone's got an idea, because this part right here, I would like to cover it with wood, but when you open it, it'll hit when it opens full. It's not hitting now. It's not opening all the way now because it's got grass there. But when you open it all the way, it hits. I guess I could get like some stick-on wood maybe. Put that there, see how that looks. This side would be easy too, but I don't want to do one side and then not the other. So if you guys got any ideas, let me know in the comments, because I'd like to make it look a little bit better, but I like how that came out. Came out pretty cool. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, let us know what you think.